here?
My name is Wayne Fairhead. I'm the Executive Director of the Canadian Sears Drama Festivals. I've been involved with the Ontario Festival since I was a teacher in the 70s, and I've basically been Executive Director for, I think it's about 26 years. I think the Sears Drama Festival, whether it's in Ontario or whether it's in British Columbia or Atlantic Canada, is a joyful experience for a lot of young people, and a time of learning, a time of making friendships, and of course a time of learning about the skills that are required to put on good theatre.
Basically, I'm in charge of making sure that the cast is doing everything good, they know what they're doing, their positioning, and especially with the lighting. So we go through the script and then we changed 2 or 3 things to our for our second show. So basically everything was just changing and changing. We added new stuff. So it's just processing throughout. Right now we are doing it without 2 of our actors. So yeah, we're just processing it.
A lot of the problems or challenges we've had have been just trying to set everything up in another theater. We've also had a few problems while actually creating it, such as finding if we had the right to produce what we were doing, because it is a very serious topic that we're talking about and we're trying to present it to everyone, and we don't want to give them the wrong message. You want to make sure that we can get our message out.
Tonight, please, worry about your own self.
Yeah.
Let us deal with that. Everyone has a job, yeah? Okay, because if the electrician starts doing plumbing and if the plumbing starts doing electrical work, the house blows up. It's just doesn't work that way. Everybody just worry about making sure your own contribution to the collective is focused, aware, and individually you know what you're doing.
It's really stressful because both of them had 2 main parts. So trying to find someone else from the cast to do it is really stressful because you don't know how it would look. It would look different, but you still want that same effect. I'm in grade 11, so I might do this next year again. So I was really happy that I took drama in grade 9 so I could switch into this class. And when I found out that there's Sears and everything, I was really excited because I was since our play means so much to us, it's we can show everyone else what it means and what it's for. And I feel this competition is a way for us to show a lot of people that it's not just a little thing, it's really, really big. It's something that we want people to know that it's important and it's something that they need to be aware about. And I feel this competition is a way for us to show that to our audience.
Well, this is most likely our final performance. It's been an incredible journey. I mean, we've been working on this since August. It began as a class project, and here we are last night. A little bit nervous, but it's not unusual. It's a kind of nervousness that I usually feel for my students.
This has been such an amazing experience, and I'd never thought that I would ever be here at the finals. Our production is called Amana, and it's about the Syrian refugee crisis. So basically one day in class, we do a lot of activities, but then one day Mr. G was he wanted all of us to just lay on the ground, and he read us the article about the little boy Alan who was washed on shore, and it touched all of us, and especially to one of our classmates, Yara. She is also from Syria herself, so it affected her a lot. And then we were we want to do this not just for the little boy, but for her.
Try for 40 minutes or so to remember why you're here. And forget about everything else. The excitement of the hotel, the stupidity of the pizza arriving late, whatever. These are all things that easily distract us.
Well, it's in the name. The word festival is a feast. It's a celebration. So I've always, as a teacher, I've always tried to deflate the competitive nature that human beings usually fall into. We get into sort of a sports mentality. Who won? Who's number one? And for instance, there was a question today during the interviews for the scholarships about the structure. And in fact, once you've reached the provincials, they've come from all over the province. They have come with a great show that has gone through the districts and the regional festivals. So you're going to see some great work, and much of it original, which is something that we're seeing more and more of, which I'm quite proud of. And so the idea is that it's a celebration. It's a sharing of ideas and stories. Theater is about stories. It's about humanity. It's about human beings telling stories to each other. And specifically, the difference is that it is human on human, right? We have human voices, human bodies on stage, vibrating and saying things, and lights are going off, sound, music, and we are making direct contact with an audience, which is live, which is reacting, which is breathing with the actors on stage, which is quite different than television and film. And I have nothing against television and film, but theater is such a truly human experience, which dates back to the early days of staying around a fire and telling each other stories.
Oh, this is crazy. Well, I mean, it's sort of been a part of my family. I mean, I come from a family of teachers and arts educators. My dad, Teodoro Dragonera, he did Sears for years, and then worked with them, and still is working with them in some capacity now. So I always went to Sears as a kid. Saw a lot of shows. It was actually what got me interested in theater in the first place. I was actually more interested in visual arts. I wanted to be an animator, but I also like to be goofy and silly, and Sears was kind of the first thing that made me sort of fall in love with theater, made me want to be on stage. One of the things, for sure. And then later on, when I kind of fell in love with it, I knew that that was what I wanted to do with the rest of my life.
I'm the showcase coordinator for this showcase. I was the Toronto Regional Coordinator for 15 years. This is my big line for this year. I am now older than this festival. It's time for me to stop. I was thinking about having it tattooed on my forehead, but that didn't seem very practical.
Welcome to the 50th anniversary of the Sears Ontario Drama Festival. It is, as usual, a great pleasure to be able to speak to you this evening at your district festival. Congratulations to all participants for their involvement in this year of celebrating our 50th season.
It is one of many being held across Ontario to celebrate 50 years of striving toward excellence, not only in theatre terms, but also in important areas such as teamwork, communications, problem solving, and citizenship. Congratulations to all participants for your commitment to the principles of the festival. And thank you to the teachers, parents, administrators, and other supporters of these young people's work. By being part of the 50th season, you now have a very special place in the Sears Ontario Drama Festival's history.
It was the Simpsons Festival, and then it was the Simpsons Sears, and then it became Sears.
We're gonna hand in hand once.
I sure can.
All right, let's hear it.
Well, I knew them personally, and became very, very close friends with Ken and Ann, and died unfortunately in 1981, so it's been quite a while. And that's when we set up the scholarships originally, 1981. They've been around since then. But Ken founded this festival in 1946 with 3 little plays. I think one of the groups was a community group, one of them was a youth group, and there was a high school. And it was in a community hall in Oakville where the first, what was called a fiesta, took place. And Ken was just a great believer in the arts. He was a singer himself. He used to sing with the big bands. And then he got into marketing, and that's when he managed to get Simpsons interested. And then they began to support the festival. Anne was the organizer. I mean, she was the person who everything was in place. She's the person who began the archives, to keeping an archival record, which we now have down at Sears Canada, their main office. And then they were just wonderful, wonderful people. Great to be around. Ken was very dapper, and Anne was very had a great dress sense. They were kids of the 40s. Great people.
By the time I knew Ken Watts, he was already quite elderly. Wayne knew him extremely well and worked with him for a very long time. Stopped teaching early on and went to work for Sears. But Ken was a really interesting guy who, when he was young, wanted to go into the war, in the Second World War, but he couldn't pass the physical. So instead, he was a radio host. And so he spent his life promoting, doing programs. He had an incredible voice, and he did programs, and he raised enough money on the programs he did to pay for 4 fighter planes. And so he got started doing that, and then when the war, and he had been doing a lot of things to make the money to do it. Like he started having these dance parties during the war at Maple Leaf Gardens.
He was a model for print ads, and as far as I know, Anne and Ken did not have kids, and so in a way, Ken was trying to figure out a way, just like I said before, how you get you get your world. How do you make it better? So we're talking post-war here, right? A year after the war, 1946. No one wins in a war. Everyone loses in a war. So even the winners are scarred, right? And so he thought, what can I do as a performer? And he started this festival, 3 schools. And then, and Anne, what I know about Anne, and the reason why there is a scholarship called the Ken and Anne Watts Scholarship, and it's a coveted award, is because Anne was like a strong woman. I always say if there's a strong man, there's even a stronger woman backing him up and supporting him and helping him. And she was at the core with him, hand in hand, in making that festival bigger and stronger and better for everyone in Ontario.
He was so used to dealing with kids and having dance parties and raising money that he just wanted to continue in that direction. And so he decided that he would have a drama festival. In the first year, there were only 4 schools, and he paid for it out of his own pocket, the whole thing. And then it just grew. And he was extraordinarily charismatic. He remembered the names of every person he ever ran into in his life. He used to show up, he and Anne used to show up for all the extra events at all the regionals. And as it grew, Wayne became his protege and was the person who started doing most of the traveling as Ken got older. And then they set up the Ken and Anne Watts Memorial Scholarship Foundation, which has provided thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for kids over the years. And there are people like Jacob James, who's a very well-known actor, who spent years at Stratford. He was a scholarship winner. Natasha Mitnowich, who's head of Artscape, who's hosting one night this week, she was a scholarship winner. Rebecca Ballerin, who's running the house at Hart House, she was a scholarship winner. There have been a large number of kids who would never have been able to go to university without Sears scholarships.
I think what makes it special, and I mean this is across the board, but especially in smaller communities in Canada, there's not a lot in the arts for young people. And I've seen it time and time again that the drama program and other arts programs in schools become the focus for those kids' development creatively. And I think that's really, really important. It's a battle. Sports is really well funded. Teachers have to struggle to find funding for arts programs. Just to come to this showcase, teachers have to fight with their jurisdiction sometimes just to get the funding to get here, despite the fact that this is the highest level of achievement in the dramatic arts in Ontario. And it's a great honour for the school.
So I think theater has a place in any school. It's just not necessarily the same place. Depends on the school, depends on the teacher. If the teacher's a new young teacher, they're so far down the totem pole they're never going to get any money for whatever it is they want to do anyway. If, however, you happen to be a department head, or better yet, a vice principal, money will materialize for your program. When I ran programs, when I ran the whole arts and tech program, you know, and I'd have a conflict with the volleyball coach who wanted to take my entire stage crew to some tournament or a swim team thing. It was kind of like, well, you know those new volleyball nets you want for the gym, the West Gym? There are a lot of other people who would like that money too. The art department would like it, the graphics department would like it, the tech department would like it, the theater department would like it. So, you know, I'll be seriously looking at everybody's requests for funding, and $13,000 for volleyball, and that seems a bit excessive. So, about your volleyball team and my stage crew, I think maybe you might consider rescheduling your volleyball tournament.
Funding has always been a problem. Again, it's a perception of a lot of the public that any sort of the arts is something that you can do once you've got food on the table and once your family is secure and so on. However, there's so much that drama and the performing arts can inspire people to do in other areas. I know that there are a few business programs and other programs at universities where they're looking for someone with a drama or performing arts background because they know they're a team player, they know they're creative, they know that they can inspire other people, and I think what we really need to do is to let everyone know how important drama, theater, and the Sears Festival is.
Funding is always a problem because there's never enough money in schools, and every year it gets worse. And every year, and there are arts departments which are extremely expensive. It's extremely expensive to run a music program. Every single one of those instruments breaks down every second week. They either need reeds or they need more this or they need more that. The music costs a fortune. That's why music programs are dying, by and large. They're just too expensive. Visual arts programs are very expensive because it's disposable. You use that piece of paper once, it's gone. You need another one. Times a whole class, times 6 classes, times 1 million projects. Of the arts areas, and the tech areas are even worse. If you are actually going to set up a graphics lab, a computer graphics lab, or you're going to set up any kind of a technology-based lab, you're going to drop. When we had one of the first labs set up when the Minister of Education decided to put tech labs, computer tech labs in schools where you could actually make films and edit them down, and the editing machines were like, you know, and they had these things going, and we had all these big cameras on trolleys that went around just like television cameras. And it cost $87,000 to set up that studio space and buy all that equipment. And we were only able to do it because it was an old school with a lot of extra old auto shops they didn't need anymore. But how many schools are going to be able to afford that, especially now when they're cutting back on things? And in the final analysis, if you have a choice between having enough teachers, especially in special ed classes, or having fancy equipment that kids are going to meet up with when they go to college or university, you have to opt for having teachers in classes to help the kids who need the extra help so they actually get out of high school in your lifetime or mine. You know? It's a competitive market, unfortunately.
Yeah, no kidding.
I think right from an early age, I think kids have a sense from a very early age what they like. And I always wanted to be a teacher first. I didn't think too much about the arts, actually. It wasn't until I got to university that I became involved in drama and directed my first show, and the rest is history.
Another thing that I think I really like about Sears is that it does, in a certain way, prepare you for a professional life in the performing arts, because we do try to maintain copyright laws, rights to the playwright, and so on. And all the levels that we have to go through in order to get a production on stage really gives a lot of people, the casting crew and the director, a feeling of what it's like to put on a real production.
It's the most difficult thing to do, you know that. It's the most difficult thing to do, but yet it is the thing that makes us united as a force of human beings. In the end, we have to live with each other. We have to coexist and co-create and make things better. And how do you do that alone? No one can ever do that alone. And theater teaches us that best, I think. My background is a visual artist. Visual artist, it's just you and that canvas, yeah? You and that camera, you and that watercolor brush. And the thing that attracted me to theater was the fact that you have to work with other people. And something always better comes out of it when it's 6 minds right now in this room. And those 6 minds coming together, it's like a collage. Collage is really easy to do, to stick things on a piece of paper, but it's very difficult to do well, right? Like anything else that comes together, different disparate objects, colors, textures, different minds, different ideas, different experiences, different backgrounds, and that's the beauty of it. That's the joy of it, and that's the importance of it. It's the importance of it, and why it's lasted this long, and why I hope it keeps on going. I want to be around for the next decade.
Well, at this, because when kids come to Toronto, they're often coming, like the kids who came from Timmins who have never been here. They're often coming from a distance, and so what they want to do is go to the Eaton Centre and Dundas Square. But if you actually want them to find out something about the city they're in and to learn something about the city they're in, our goal in the workshops is to provide workshops that they might not be able to get in their own area, because Toronto is full of artists and theater people. So, and most of us have contacts, most of us have lots of kids that we've taught who are in the business. So it's basically you're trying to find workshops that will be interesting and useful and that will make kids want to be in them. So, we have all these workshops going out to TIFF in Second City. Kids who don't live in the city will never be able to go and do a film in a day at TIFF for $5. It's not happening. And the workshop artists we bring in, we try to have at the provincial level things that are relaxing and fun, because it's also stressful for kids to be here. So whereas you might earlier in the year at the regional level, the district level, run workshops on writing a play, polishing your play, blocking, vocal training, things like that. At this level, we run things we run movement workshops, relaxation, dance, mask work, so that it's things that are fun and not connected to their current production, because they're celebrating. This is not competitive at this level. It just is. And so the workshops are things that the kids can do without stressing them out when they have a tech rehearsal and a performance or an adjudication this morning. The idea is to give them things to do that are fun, that they couldn't get outside Toronto, that they couldn't afford to bring into their own town, that are celebratory and relaxing. So that's what we go for. And they're all full, so they're all overly full.
It's a great experience for them to get to understand what it would be like if they were doing theater for real and actually doing it as a job. I think it's the closest thing to that. You have adjudicators doing all the adjudicating and stuff. These are professionals who've done years of theater work, and you get that feedback. And I think that's what makes it way better than any sort of like talent show or anything like that. They're getting critical feedback from people who are in the field, and they're working to improve their show until it's absolutely perfect.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Jen Burak. I'm the regional coordinator for the Sears Festival for Toronto, and I was in charge of the workshop. And this is Grace.
Hi, I'm Grace Gutierrez. I'm one of the volunteers.
And Grace is going to help me a little bit with check-in tomorrow. We have a lot of great artists, Grace.
Yes, we do.
We do indeed. So we're going to have dance artist Andrea Nan, for example. We've got Humber College and Sheridan coming to do audition workshops, which will be fabulous. We also have some really great off-site workshops at Second City and TIFF. And in addition to that, we have movement workshops. We have a Pilates session for people to learn a little bit about relaxation and how to kind of train your body a little bit in a non-traditional way. So it's going to be pretty exciting. So hope you guys have a good time at the festival. Cheers.
Yeah, well, as I said, it started in 1946, and it now involves about 300 schools across the province and about 12,000 students and teachers. So I've seen it grow. One of the things that I've tried to place an emphasis on in the festival is original writing through the Playwriting Award. I think it's very important that we have young writers developed because that's the basis of theatre, really, to have good writers, because you've got to have good material to begin with. And so that's been a big development. When I was first in the festival, most of the plays were British or American. It was very rare you had a Canadian play. And we began to create our own plays with our own music as well. I think that's another important element, marrying music and visual art with the theatre. And it provides a great opportunity for all of the arts to come together. So we've sort of tried to put an emphasis on that element. And it's just continued to grow to the extent that we now have a festival in British Columbia and we have a festival in the Atlantic provinces.
I had a production in the film. They did a film on some of the productions that happened during the 50th anniversary. And I have a fond memory of that show. It was called Bedtime Stories. And we decided that the audience was going to be the ceiling of the room, of the bedroom. And so we had the bed up, the bedside tables. So the audience is looking at the people on stage as if they are a fly on the ceiling, right? And so it was kind of bizarre, yeah. But it was an ensemble work where everybody contributed to the script, and so essentially there were different scenes in the bed, and they were from husband and wife to kids to mostly humorous, but also quite poignant in the sense that they were making statements about life at the time. The kids had a real hand in saying something about how they felt about the world at that time. Yeah, and it was, 50th is a big number, right? And it's huge. And it was quite a wonderful festival. And it was a celebration, even then, of all the great people that have gone through Sears, like Yana McIntosh, like R.H. Thompson. The who's who in the arts in Canada, if you ask, they will have been involved with the Sears, right? There's a camaraderie that happens, right? It's like, you're here, you're making history, man. You're recording history, the 70th. It's amazing, right? And this will be an event that unites you. You may not see one of these guys for 20 years and go, hey, 70th, man, remember that? Yeah, instant, right? Instant connection. Human, yeah? It's what makes us human.
Oh man, I remember doing a show. It was two people. I did David Ives' Sure Thing with my friend Val, and we did it at ESA, which was the art school. I wasn't in the art school, and so we had to do the whole show in front of everybody, and we were really nervous. We thought we weren't going to get any laughs because it's a comedy, but we were so scared. It was only two people on stage, huge stage at ESA, and we killed it. It was a lot of fun, and it just was a great relief, and we just were able to play and have a great time on stage, and that was a great moment for me.
What have been some of your favorite or most notable memories?
Most of them have to do with the collapse of sets at inopportune moments. When somebody goes behind something and it falls over in the middle of the show, or when at one time you could actually still take candles on stage and you could still use flash pans to make explosions. The kid whose hair got caught on fire when they used a flash pan in a frying pan as part of a scene. And then, 6 kids raced out of the wings with buckets of water and completely soaked the kid. Got rid of the fire, but it kind of ended the performance because the kid was soaking wet, the set was soaking wet, and the audience was convulsing in laughter. It tends to be accidents like that cause great comedy. There was one year at Newton Brook when, for some reason known only to the gods of theater, all of a sudden the girl had a microphone to sing Over the Rainbow. They were doing a short version of The Wizard of Oz, and the microphone was hidden in a fake stone wall on the set. And it was the very first kind of wireless microphones that people had. And so she pulled it out to use. And they were like this big, but they weren't connected to anything. And she pulled it out to sing Over the Rainbow. And all of a sudden this voice came through saying, Mac, are you close to the corner of Yonge and Steeles? Get that cab over there fast. George, where are you? I need a cab. And the audience just collapsed in laughter. And the girl is standing there looking at the microphone like it's a boa constrictor. Just like, what are you doing to my life? And the audience was just in hysterics. We had to have an intermission and come back. Or then one night at I think that was also at Newton Brook, they were setting up, everything was fine, the show started, and all of a sudden every single light went out. All the lights. The lighting board shorted itself out completely. Whether someone it was one of those old plug the thing in, whether someone plugged the thing in into something and there wasn't enough amperage left to carry it, I don't know. But the lights all went out. The kids are all on stage. We're like 20 minutes into the first act, and there is now not a single theater light on. So the director went racing back there to try to find out what happened. There's no way that at night you're going to get someone from the board to come out and fix the lights, dream on. And they fiddled with it and they replugged things, nothing happened. So they just said to the kids, just freeze. Because they're just standing there. The audience is wondering what's happening. Finally, they turned on the working lights because those were on the regular light circuit. They're not on the stage lighting circuit, just by the door when you come out onto the stage. And the kids finished the show with working lights and got a standing ovation. Because why not? Or there was a time that some moron decided it would be a good idea to do Midsummer Night's Dream on platforms with 3 different pucks, and they were all wearing roller skates. You have to put that together in your mind. A platform with people on top of it is being pushed across the stage by someone wearing roller skates. How safe is that when there's an orchestra pit? That was at Earl Haig. No, it was not safe. Took a little while to persuade the director that maybe this was not such a good idea. Maybe on their home stage that had worked. They didn't have an orchestra pit. It was a flat level stage and the audience was raked. But where there's a pit and you've got your people on roller skates, not good. I think those are my 3 worst experiences.
I mean, we always have some experienced actors and we have some that have just started. Same with text, same with set, and so on. So the progression of all of them is part of the excitement, part of the fun. But I do get that rise out of watching the final performance, not only because I get to see my painting, so to speak, on the stage, my creation, but I also get to see how far everyone has progressed. And there's been some amazing stories of kids that were basically mute when they came to me, and you can't shut them up now. You know, they're always full of energy, full of more confidence. I think that is the greatest benefit of Sears, is the amount of self-confidence it gives to all of the participants. And I do believe in Sears' philosophy of putting the student in charge, giving them all these responsibilities, really tests how well they can adapt to them, and in many cases they outshine us, which is a good thing, because that's a sign of a good teacher when your student surpasses you.
I sort of have possibly a different story than most, because I was at a performing arts high school, which I was very fortunate to be at Reihe Secondary School, the Claude Watson program. But a lot of the participants in the Sears Festival were drama majors, and I was actually a vocal major. Tons of singing, kind of grew up thinking it was going to be a singer, or at least somehow in music. And but I obviously took all of the drama courses, and I was in the school shows. And so in one of the drama courses I took, me and two other women in the class were assigned to do the Girls and Three Fine Girls, or selections from. And such a great play, amazing Canadian play. And during that time, our teacher informed us that one of her drama major participant slots, they had dropped out for some reason. They couldn't be involved in Sears anymore, and so we took their spot, and so we did the whole play for the Sears. And it was so amazing to do that show for this festival, to be involved with people my age, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people my age who were just doing the exact same thing as we were doing, and to be adjudicated. Like, you're graded in school, but it's different when you're adjudicated in the festival, It really made us all step up, and we ended up winning an ensemble award, and so as a vocalist who loves to act, it really was very important. It was a very important thing for me in giving me the confidence to be considered an actor as well as a singer. Just follow your dreams, honestly. It may seem impossible, and it is really hard. Advice that I would give is, if you love anything more in the world than performing or directing or producing or writing or whatever it is in the arts that you're passionate about, if you love anything more than that, do that, because it's a very difficult profession, but we are driven by love, and that's why we do it, and that's why we are inspired every single day, and that's what keeps me inspired and makes me love what I do so much.
It all started here in Ontario, right? And Ontario, it's a well-oiled machine, really. It has a very definite structure, as you're probably aware, moving through 3 levels: district, regional, to the Ontario Showcase. And I want to say at this point that if it was not for dedicated teachers, this festival couldn't take place. I mean, the strength of the festival is in those drama teachers, drama advisors, arts teachers in the various communities who create this work with their students and nurture their students to be able to do this work on their own as well. I think that's a very, very important point for anyone who wants to know about this festival. I think that's what they should know that. Thank goodness we have a sponsor in Sears Canada who've been with us for decades now, and we're very, very grateful to them, to believing in young people, for their belief in young people.
I guess the combination of the professional mandate on one side, sticking to the strict rules that are needed in actual production, and like any other drama program or theater program, an ability for everyone to express themselves. If you get a perfect cast and crew, everyone in a certain way is showing their creativity, whether they be designing the lights or just using the follow spot and using their particular way of using the follow spot. Of course, acting. The actors show their own personal expression and their own interpretation of what the character is supposed to be like. Finally, I think the best thing about Sears is meeting like-minded people who love theater arts, love drama, and actually realize that there are more of them out there. I mean, sometimes in high school, as in the whole world, theater arts or the performing arts are considered to be a fringe, not what everyone would choose to do. And it's always nice to know that there's another weirdo or geek out there just like you.
I think really, I would say to all students who are involved in the festival, and I say this from the stage wherever I am, that they're all winners. They're winners because of the fact that they've taken part in this amazing project that they've become committed to, and they've poured all their energy, their heart into. And I think that just by being involved, that is significant in itself.
Keep supporting the festival, keep telling your teachers, keep telling your politicians, and keep telling everybody how important this festival is to Ontario, to North America. It's the largest of its kind, and it's helped to create so many new artists and creators and so many technical people who are now working in the field. So I think it's a great festival, and I think it should, I hope to goodness it keeps going and going and going forever.
In the end, the important thing here is that we have all somehow have been affected by the Sears Ontario Drama Festival to give voice to teachers and students across Ontario, to give voice to our thoughts, our wishes, our hopes, our fears, and what a wonderful gift that is. Because most often we are not given the opportunity to have a voice. And it's a gift that many people have gone through. It's a gift that many people have experienced. And it lives on in the work that they do. It lives on in the fact that we have adjudicators now that were students themselves in the festival, right? And that might be the case with your work, right? At some point, you know, you'll be asked to speak about your experience. And so the life goes on, the art goes on, the beat goes on. And what a wonderful gift. Thank you, Sears.